Do I have to be famous or successful to be living in purpose? Sometimes I sit down and ask myself a very simple but heavy question. Why do we think purpose must always come with spotlight? Why do we measure the weight of a man's purpose by how many people are clapping for him? Because somewhere along the line, we started believing that purpose must look loud to be real. So we think if it's not shaking social media, it's not shaking heaven. If it's not viral, it's not valuable. But that's not true. I really want us to be honest. We live in a world where visibility is counted as validation. Everybody wants to be seen, but just few wants to be sent. And yet, purpose was never about the size of your audience, but the depth of your obedience. You see, fame is what people give you, and purpose is what God gave you, and those two don't always meet. Some of the most impactful people on earth will never trend. They might not have a million followers, they might not ever stand on the stage to hold the microphone, but heaven will stand when their names are mentioned. You see that woman raising her kids alone, teaching them faith, integrity, love. That's purpose. You see that young man walking quietly behind the scene just to make sure that his family eats. That's purpose. That teacher showing up every day, not because he or she is paid well, but because he believes in the future of the children. That's purpose. Purpose doesn't always make noise, but it always makes sense in eternity. The danger of connecting purpose to fame is that when life takes you off the stage, you think you've lost meaning. But the truth is, you are never called to the stage, you are called to serve. And sometimes serving looks like sweeping floors and someone else holds the mic. Purpose is not always visible, but it is always valuable. I think I need to say that again for someone who is feeling unseen. Purpose is not always visible, but it is always valuable. Believe it. I've met people who were doing amazing things like feeding orphans, building teenagers, and building little community projects, but they were sad. And you know why? Because nobody was watching, because nobody was clapping. But stop confusing recognition for relevance. You may not be recognized, but you are relevant. Purpose is not fame, purpose is faithfulness. Let me show you something. Joseph fulfilled purpose in the prison before he fulfilled purpose in the palace. David was anointed king, but he went back to the sheep. And you remember Jesus, he was in preparation for 30 years just for a 3 years assignment, and it changed the world. Sometimes your purpose will take you through hidden years where no one calls your name, no one reposts your work, no one even notices you, but heaven will reward your consistency. Purpose is not proven by applause, it's proven by endurance. So when people ask, do I have to be successful or famous to be living in purpose? My answer is no. You just have to be faithful. You see, success in the world's eyes is result, but success in God's eyes is obedience. The world says, show me your numbers, but God says, show me your heart. That's why some people chase number and still feel empty. But purpose is not measured by likes and shares, but it is measured by lives changed. The purpose of light is not to be admired, but to reveal. Even candle matters in darkness. So don't let social media make you question your impact. Don't let other people's visibility make you question your own journey. Fame is not proof of purpose, and obscurity is not a proof of failure. Sometimes God just hides his best soldiers where the camera don't reach. Let me remind you, Noah built an ark before there was rain. Abraham left his home not knowing where he was going. Mary carried a promise that the world would first call scandal. They weren't trending, but they were trusting. Purpose is not about who's watching you, it's about who sent you. Maybe nobody's clapping for you, maybe nobody sees you, maybe nobody even knows your name, and you are wondering if God even sees you. He really does. Yes, he does. Because in the end, the goal is not to be known by men, the goal is to be approved of God, and that's purpose. Purpose is not popularity, purpose is obedience. And sometimes the greatest life that ever lived were not applauded, but they were eternally recorded. God bless you.